That's it, boys. Good rotations, good rotations. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, okay? We need to step up for this one. Could be a tricky opponent here in Canada. What's that noise? What is that noise? Oh, seriously? It's been like 13 years. Lemon drones. Guys, off the field. Get off the field now. In the changing rooms. I need to tell Andrew about this, and he can get on to FIFA. He loves being a Karen about this sort of stuff. Seriously, I thought it was just a women's Olympic thing, but it's women men too. Cheating Canadians.
Party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 128 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Tech. Coming today, we've got a game with both of those teams. First up, we're off to the Drone Nation over in North America. We take on Canada, an international friendly, before we then play a World Cup qualifier against the Solomon Islands, but you guys won't see that because we're probably going to win that quite easily. Instead, we'll come back with Cashmere Tech and make our way through the quarterfinals of the OFC Champions League, where we take on the Shade in AS Magenta. So if you're looking forward to this episode coming up, games with both the teams are managing in the save, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But yesterday got through the group stages of the OFC Champions League at Cashmere Tech and also ran through the transfers we did going in to 2037. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We'll cover off what's happened since then. You can actually see it there over in the top right corner. We just got past Western Suburbs in the Charity Cup, a 0-0 draw. May as well cover that off now. It wasn't the best game. Looking at the match stats, pretty even. Only one shot on target for us. Western Suburbs shots were all on target, but neither team could score. Went to a penalty shootout. Both teams scored their first free. Thankfully, then Cifuentes came up with back-to-back saves. Misses from Thomas and Lulawai. We missed our fourth penalty through to Hotman de Villiers, but Tristan Turner scored to seal us yet another Charity Cup here at Cashmere Tech. So that might suggest if we make our way through the semis of the OFC Champions League, could be a tight one coming up in tomorrow's episode over two legs against Western Suburbs. And I really want to win that just to make sure that this time we do actually go to the FIFA Club World Cup. We should be going anyway for about the next 7 of them, but FM can do screwy things, so let's just make sure it doesn't get the opportunity. But we'll get back into Cashmere Tech mode off the back of this international window that we are going to run through. And Canada, during the off-season, they requested a friendly against us, and that was around the time in real life they started to spy on the New Zealand Women's Olympic team. And off the back of that, they just really like flying drones, it sounds like, Canada. A very good opportunity here to take the mickey out of them and hopefully beat them as well, which we should be doing because they're all the way down in 75th on the FIFA World Rankings these days. No Alphonso Davies, and they are struggling because of it. The Canucks, and also maybe the fact they can't fly as many drones around now because everyone knows about it. In 2037, probably won't stop them trying, but hopefully this is a chance for us here to pick up a win, and it could be an opposition that could help us get our ranking up, because Senegal, they were beating teams a lot lower than this and going up the world rankings, and I keep going on about it, but I still don't really know why those guys are above us on the FIFA World Rankings. We are still in 33rd place, Senegal in 32nd, so to be fair, they have dropped down a little bit. Australia went up, then went back down a little bit, but hopefully some good results here and we can make our way above Senegal. To be fair, that gap now very close indeed, only 3 points. Hopefully some wins here might help us make our way above Senegal at the very least, because we bashed them a few times last year. We should be above them on those world rankings. In terms of our squad going in to this window, a couple of injuries. One big one to Josh Pickering, the other not too bad. Owata Uelese, our backup striker. So it does mean that Jacob Hall-Jones, first choice left winger for this window, and coming in for a debut is Chris Greenidge from Cashmere Tech. He's the third best left wing option in New Zealand at the moment, just above Henrik Fries, our former Cashmere Tech lad. And in terms of the third choice striker, that these days is not Craig Johnston of the Wellington Phoenix. Instead, Prince Kamalo, formerly of Birkenhead, these days of Sydney United, got some caps in that window where we did play Senegal and picked up the 0-0 draw when really we should have bet them. before we scored 5 goals against them the next couple of times that we did take them on. But he has got some pretty good attributes up front, does a 23-year-old, quite a promising striker currently, is wanted by Adelaide United, so a bit of a bigger club there over in Australia. He will get a chance probably in that second game where we take on the Solomon Islands. I am playing our stronger lineup in this game because when we take on the Solomon Islands, I think our rotation should be able to beat them. Let's take Canada a bit more seriously, even though they're not that good and they're a bunch of dirty cheats, as has been found out over the last couple of days, but we should be able to beat them, especially, as I said, with pretty close to a full-strength team. Unfortunately, can't do a bus trip because Canadians, very enthusiastic with their drone flying, as we've been finding out through some quotes from their former manager, Herbman. So that's probably going to be an issue trying to do a bus trip. I think they might start to surround our van and we wouldn't be able to get a very good view. So we're not going to do a bus trip here. It's not because I need to get through quite a bit during the course of today's episode or because I'm punishing them for trying to spy on New Zealand. It's because there would just be drones everywhere and it's not going to be a very good bus trip if we do that. So instead, going to get straight in to this first game of today's episode and hopefully do what the Olympic women's team couldn't and beat Canada. And here are the team sheets for this clash over in Canada. Not so many drones out there for this game, but as you can see, they're going very defensive. Maybe that's what they found on their spying trip before this game. In terms of us, we've got Tresarova dominant right back on a heavy workload, and also attacking midfield-wise, quite a few of those players on a heavy workload, and also, of course, Hall Jones. He's in there for Pickering anyway, so he's first choice for this window, but also we've got Kelly and Chris Jones over Justin Keat and Jamie Young, who comes into this one quite tight, but a highlight here for him to kick off, and we are on the attack nice and early. Based on rankings, this is a team we should be handling. Good early chance there for Jamie Kelly, but unfortunately, decent save there from the Canadian goalkeeper. Maybe they got that one scouted in the practices that we were doing with their drones, but unfortunately, we get the ball back into the mix of the air. They can just clear their lines, but early stages, getting on the front foot here over in Canada. Let's see if they can do something on the counter attack. They can't, but on the front foot early. And another highlight right off the back of that. So lots of action early in this game, but we get the ball back and might be on the attack yet again. Curtis just takes his time before looking out left and will pick out Hall Jones. He cuts inside as now Adam White makes the run and he does pick him out. Just one touch there. Plays it forward to Kelly with that big chance before, but good save from the Canadian goalkeeper. Now Beale with a long range effort, but that one a bit too ambitious, goes off target early stages on the front foot, but still scoreless. And only a couple of minutes on from those early chances that we did have, now's another highlight here in Canada, try and make their way out from there, albeit not too well. Conway gets robbed of the ball there by Jacob Hall Jones. Obviously, they didn't learn to try and not play out from the back with our gegenpress through that drone whip. And now Tress on the Nkuru with a right-footed finish. They slack off there, the right back. To be fair, I wouldn't expect him to score a goal either. That's his first one for the All Whites, the former Cashmere Tech loanee. And after a really good period here of opening pressure, we do open the scoring. Beale finds him, just no one picks him up until it's far too late there. Beats their goalkeeper Newman from a tight angle, and we take a deserved 1-0 lead. And 10 minutes off the back of that opening goal, we are still on the attack in this game so far. It's been complete one-way trek, and hopefully might be able to grab a cushion goal here and start to put this game to bed nice and early. Tresor cuts inside off the back of that first All Whites goal. He tries again, but that shot from far too tight an angle, still 1-0. And going forward another 10 minutes off the back of that previous highlight, about to make our way into the last 15 or so minutes here of this first half, still 1-0, but still completely dominant here over the drone flying Canucks. And we continue to pull the pressure on Hall Jones down that left-hand side. Just does a bit of jinking there. Plays it back to White. Now Evans waits for someone to come out to him, but still unleashes a shot. The Cashmere Tech lad pumps that one top right corner. It's a bit of a Cashmere Tech show. This one so far. Tresor, our former loanee for a season, and Louis Evans still there as a balling midfielder. And that is a really good strike. Thought that maybe he should have taken that shot a bit sooner because he had time, but took it, to be fair, and bangs that one away in the top right corner. Nothing Newman can do about that one. It's a wonder strike there. Evans does not score too many from where he's playing, obviously, but that is a good one. We finally get a cushion goal and might even be on the hunt for more, as I think near Curtis or Bindon got up. It was one of our centre-backs, but they put that over the bar, and now Canada again look to play it from the back. To be fair, most of their players are at the back in that formation they're using, so that's not surprising. But they give the ball away again. Now Tressor is back on it, cuts inside, takes on a shot yet again, and Newman comes up with a very good save to deny him of getting on a hat-trick. That would have been interesting for our young right back, but he's having a good game. Is Tressor the corner we put far post for Tyler Binden? Good effort from him, but that one also goes just over the bar. But we're still in front, 2-0 New Zealand. And we continue to be on the front foot here late in this first half. So far, Canada with no shots. We're at about 18, XG above 3. So it would be nice to get one more goal here before halftime. A good chance here for George McDonald, who was onside, but Newman there with a good save as that shot across the face of goal. To be fair, by the time McDonald controlled that, it was a bit of a tight angle, but still, really good first half from us. But unfortunately, just haven't quite put the ball in the back of the net maybe as much as we should have. Hall Jones goes down there, no penalty. Still on the attack. Eventually, Curtis takes on a shot. Probably not the player we want to do that, but there are the stats. Our XG is ridiculous. Now it goes up above 4. Can we make it 3-0 before halftime? No, but that is a very impressive first half here with the All Whites, one of our best ones for a little while against the half-decent nation. 2-0 could easily be a few more, but Tressor and Louis Evans have picked up the goals. Now, Jamie Kelly's actually struggling out there on a 6.4. Justin Keat came into this on a heavy workload, so it might not be the best idea to bring him on. Instead, we might give a debut to one of the Cashmere Tech lads in Chris Greenidge. He's quite decent in central attacking midfield, as we found out for a bit of last season. So we'll make that one sub at halftime, but very happy with how this one's going. Hopefully, a few more goals in the second half. 2-0 over in Canada. And about 10 minutes into the second half, unfortunately, one of our star performers so far, Tressor, has just picked up an orange injury. We're going to play things safe the way this game's going now. Darman was on the heavy workload, so instead, we'll bring on Ryan Billingsley to play right back still with a 2-0 lead, just coming up to the hour mark. And in fact, now that we've made our way forward to that, George McDonald is actually struggling on a 6.4, so we'll give one of the call-ups some game time in Prince Kamalo. Let's see if he can score against the Drone Flyers here over in their nation. Still completely dominant, 2-0 with just under a half hour left. And a few minutes off the back of that batch of subs start the second half, we eventually get the first highlight and are still on the attack, albeit we are inside of our own half. But Canada have done next to nothing so far in this game. Not too surprising, because it was a very defensive formation that they did put out for this game. But Chris Jones, down to a pretty deep red heart, is on the ball, makes his way inside the box, takes on the shot. It's not a very good one. Newman with a save there from a tight angle. Might be a good time here to take him off. Now, what options do we have on the bench? Probably Justin Keat, even though he is on a heavy workload. Let's see what he can do, because here comes Justin Keat with 20 minutes left, still 2-0 in front. And pretty shortly off the back of that sub of Justin Keat coming on at right wing, Canada there for the first time in this game really were on the attack that we've seen, but thankfully we win that ball there. It looked like that was through Adam White, and now we try and make our way out from the back. We can do this pretty easily, because as we've said a few times, Canada are playing an extremely defensive formation against us. No wonder they're falling down the world rankings. Going to be hard for these guys to score goals like this, but Greenidge plays that one forward nicely to Justin Keat, who takes on the shot from a tight angle. He's only been on for a few minutes, unfortunately, just ticking past the 69-minute mark, so not quite as nice a goal as it could have been. But Greenidge with his first assist in an all-white shirt, and he links up with Justin Keat, another former man of Cashmere Tech, and really putting the foot down here. Dominant performance here over in Canada, and we make it 3-0. And only a few minutes off the back of that third goal, we're going to make our last couple of subs here. We've got quite a few players down to red hearts, but I think the players who we can bring on in those positions are both the ones in defensive midfield. So another couple of Cashmere Tech lads coming on here. We do have a few of them now in the All Whites, but Vinicius and Clark, they can come on for Evans and for Beale. 3-0 with 15 minutes left. And just about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, and a front for us here inside the final third, and we find Hall Jones. Edge of the box, drills that one in nicely for Chris Greenidge. He got a debut assist. Now he picks up a debut goal. He looks quite handy as a central attacking midfielder. And we are punishing Canada for their sins in this game. I say it like it's a really bad thing they've done. It's not that bad, but still, it's a bit yuck, isn't it? Drone flying, especially for the New Zealand women's team, who just aren't really that good. It's a bit of a bad risk fee reward that they've done there. It's just poor judgment. But off the back of that, they have a highlight from the kickoff. Do get in behind, and Anthony Klukowski will put that one away. That might be their first shot of the entire game, and typical FM, they do put it away, but to be fair, it's just a consolation goal, but a bit disappointing how Tyler Bindon was called out there. We'll just make sure it was him. Should be on the right-hand side, and indeed that was the case. But Canada, their first attack of the game, maybe they changed formation, because really, that's the only thing they've done so far in this game. We've been completely dominant, still below XG, which is a bit frustrating, albeit that could change from this highlight in the 88th minute. We have a throw in here inside their half, scored from it before through Chris Greenidge. Now Vinicius on the ball, plays it back to Tyler Bindon, back to Vinicius, nice ball out there to Ryan Billingsley at right back for the second half of this one. Vinicius back in there for Sam Clark, a long range effort. That one stings the hands of Newman, but he's able to tip it over the bar. But we are well and truly dominant in this game. A bit frustrating. They've scored that one shot that they did have, but let's see if we can make it 5-1 or if it will stay 4-1. Unfortunately, give the ball away there. They clear it, but not too far. We would have got back in position, but it's a very dominant performance. Could have scored a few more based on XG, but really, that was complete one-way traffic against a semi-decent team. You can kind of see why Canada have fallen down the rankings quite a bit. The drone spying not paying off in the save, albeit that might be more of a thing for them in FM25 and not FM24, because I don't think that would have been updated just yet, but we do get one over the spying cheats with the men's team making up for the women at the Olympics. We picked up a 4-1 win. We'll come back shortly, show you the result of that game against the Solomon Islands, which should pretty much book our ticket into the final of the World Cup qualifier before getting stuck in to the Champions League quarters with Cashmere Tech. And we are back and about to get into Cashmere Tech mode for the second game in today's episode, but before then did play a World Cup qualifier against the Solomon Islands in Noumea. Bit of a trip that back from Canada, but thankfully we did put out a fairly solid rotation from that Canada game, and they did a pretty good job. We picked up a 5-0 win, 3-0 after the first half, a penalty early to Prince Kamalo to break his duck in an all-white shirt. Chris Greenidge with a double, so he's probably been the player of this window, and George McDonald is a right winger in this game because Justin Keat still on a heavy workload. He picked up a double, and we pick up a 5-0 win. To be fair, the Solomon Islands, they offered more than Canada did in terms of attack, stats-wise, albeit they didn't score like Canada. Still a bit frustrated with that, but that is a very good window for us. And in terms of our qualifying group for the World Cup, we're pretty much already through the final. We've got one more game, and if New Caledonia don't win the rest of theirs, we are going through the final, and we'll take on the winner of Group B, which currently looks like it might be Papua New Guinea. Just going to check on who their last game is against, and it's against Vanuatu. Fiji play Vanuatu as well. So really, you'd imagine that they'd both be beating Vanuatu based on current standings, and it might be us v PNG in the final to try and qualify for, I believe it will be, next year's World Cup in game. But now it's time to switch over the Cashmere Tech mode, albeit not too much to talk about, because we only played one competitive game. We ran for it before. That went on penalties over Western Suburbs in the Charity Cup. Thankfully, we did that, albeit something I didn't touch on was unfortunately Walid Khaled did pick up an injury. It wasn't on international duty, so he wasn't hit by a drone, but it was a dislocated shoulder, out for 4 weeks to 2 months. That's going to keep him out for a decent chunk. Might even keep him out of the semi-final, which will probably be against Western Suburbs. So that is a big loss, albeit thankfully still got Tariq Nar as well as Andre Salcedo at the club, so that's quite good. But hopefully can improve quite a bit off the back of that scratchy performance against Western Suburbs and get the job done here over AS Magenta. This is a team we've taken on a few times in the past out of New Caledonia. I'm pretty sure we took them on a couple of years ago in the final at their stadium. This one is at my one, the first leg in the Shaun Does FM arena. We'll just check in on the last couple of times that we have taken these guys on. And indeed, one of them was the final. That was back in 2032, and we beat them in the quarterfinals 3 years ago, 6-1 in the first leg and 3-0 in the second leg. So far, pretty comprehensive wins over these guys. And you'd imagine, even with that Khaled injury, that will be the same yet again. So hopefully, let's pick up a comfy win and book our ticket to set up what you'd imagine would be a all-Kiwi semi-final coming up in tomorrow's episode as we take on the Shade from my arena. And here are the team sheets for the first leg of this Champions League quarterfinal. Just a couple of changes for us. Obviously, Salcedo comes in for the injured Kali, but also Kestra up front Zoomers has just made his way back from an injury that he's also picked up recently, only recommended for 45 minutes. To be fair, the Magenta also going with a pretty defensive formation, albeit not nearly as bad as what we saw Canada use, but hopefully can pick up a comfy win to book our ticket into the semi. And it's only taken 5 minutes for the first highlight of this game to throw for us here inside of the final third. One more change I mentioned before. I have gone to RSA instead of the young Brazilian at centre back because I didn't feel like the ball playing defender was working too well in the games that we did play with it, but there's an opening goal and Salcedo steps in for Walid Khaled. We worked that one inside the box off the front quite easily, just cuts inside and puts it away nicely with his left foot, and we're beating the shade quite badly already here. Only 5 minutes in, first highlight, good finish that into the top left corner to give us a 1-0 lead. And just making our way past the 15-minute mark for the next highlight of this game, a corner here in our favour looking there. I'm not too sure who that was at the near post, can't find him, but Salcedo plays out to Debenham, and now Sam Clark with a curving long-range effort, and that's a screamer there from the all-white into the top right corner, and 2 highlights and 2 goals for us here with Cashmere Tech, and it's a brilliant start as we make it 2-0. Anderson headed that one back out there to Salcedo, Debenham out to Clark. He'll pick up there a pretty generous assist, but that is a wonder strike that from Sam Clark to make it 2-0. And going forward about 10 minutes off that previous goal now is a free kick here in our favour, and Diop was left wide open there at the far post, but unfortunately that header across the face of goal did come off of the crossbar, so a chance for us there to make it 3-0, albeit off the back of that might be another chance for us here. Salcedo goes down, no foul, so actually a chance here for Magenta to do something on the counter-attack, but good work from Evans. He gets that ball back for us. Johnson finds Salcedo in a ton of space, and he gets himself on a hat-trick nice and early. 3-0, only 26 minutes into the first leg of this quarter-final. I think we're going to be making our way into the semis, and you'd imagine it will be an all-Kiwi clash coming up in tomorrow's episode. And based on that Charity Cup that I just played, that could be quite interesting, albeit hopefully a few more highlights than I got just before. And right off the back of that third goal, it's a front for us, albeit deep inside of our own half. Janssen plays this forward to Castro, cuts inside a little bit before springing it out right to Debenham, albeit that ball was a little bit behind him, but thankfully still on the front foot as he plays it forward to Salcedo on a hat-trick this time. Look to set up a goal, loses position there briefly before going far post, push in the back on Chris Greenidge off the back of a very good window with the all-whites, and it's a chance here. Will it be for Salcedo to complete his hat-trick? Of course not. We found that out yesterday. It's Juan Carlos Castro. Not the most convincing penalty yet again, but thankfully this time he actually puts it away. He gets on the score sheet for the first time in this game. Our former first choice striker, been a couple of years since that was the case with the sale of Mitchell Clout. He's going to get a bit more game time here this season at Cashmere Tech. Tucks it away and makes it 4-0. And nothing done off the back of that penalty which Castro did put away, but very happy with how this one's going. Everyone out there looking quite fresh as well, so don't think any changes are needed in what is currently a very one-sided first leg of this quarterfinal. 4-0 at halftime in the first leg at my arena. And just coming to the 10-minute mark here in the second half, the first proper highlight that we might show you guys have been 2 so far, but to be fair, there have been shots that have gone well wide. They have been in our favour though, so definitely still on the front foot. Castro gets that ball back for us there and plays it forward to Salcedo, and now Debenham starts to make his way forward down that right-hand side. To be fair, he was quite close to a call-up for that second game against the Solomon Islands. We did pick back to Sono, just a touch better, but Debenham not too far away because unfortunately Tresor, that injury against Canada, did keep him out of that second game. But good chance there for Castro, but unfortunately a weak finish, and the goalkeeper can come up with a save. And right off the back of that, there is a highlight yet again. We are on the attack. Greenidge plays that one back there, and now Diop is on the ball. No doubt we'll look for Greenidge again here. Can he do something off the back of that very good form with the all-white? Salcedo at the far post will head that one home, as he did yesterday. As I said, those right wingers score quite a few goals for us here at Cashmere Tech with their heads, and it happens again. Greenidge will pick up the assist, and this really puts us tight a bit already. Can't see them turning this one around over in New Caledonia. 5-0 with still 35 minutes left. And just about to make our way into the last 20 minutes of this game, and I think it's a good time for us here to make all 5 of our subs to make sure these guys can get a ring. I'm going to take off the all-whites, make sure that they're fresh and fit for our next game in the National League. So I dare say we can now rotate for the second leg of this one. So it does mean that Corona and Turner, they can come on in midfield. Bring on Hosapa for RSA and just see what he can do as a central defender. It did work quite well for us last season. We may as well stick to that instead of the ball-playing defender. Also, Hotman de Villiers can come on for Greenwich, having been on All Whites duty. And as well as that, let's bring on Wilson for Debenham, give him a rest just to make sure our first choice right back is available for the under-20 quota that we do need in the domestic games. With 15 minutes left, we are still 5-0 in front. And in fact, there's a highlight here where I can wrap things up to Hotman de Villiers. Starts to get us going here forward down this left-hand side. Plays that one into Salcedo a bit central. That goes forward to Castro, offside, and the goalie stops it anyway. Still 5-0 with 15 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that previous chance, off the back of those 5 subs that we did make. There's a deep clearance there from the Magenta goalkeeper, but Diop can claim that quite safely. And now Hossafar is on the ball. Definitely haven't dropped him because I keep forgetting his name, albeit that could be a good reason, but Arce is much better as a central defender. I thought we might do that, seeing as it's worked quite well for us off the back of getting rid of the ball-playing defender last time around. Looking there for Salcedo at the far post, but unfortunately this time that header not quite on target. It goes over the bar. It's still 5-0, but now we're down the other end here for a free kick to Magenta. That one not too far away, looking for the top right corner. Cifuentes was tested, but it did beat the goal as well as him. That's the only shot so far in this game. While we're here, might just try out Hossafar as a ball-playing defender just to see if it kicks anything to life in the last couple of minutes of this game. There's a free kick in our favour. Not a very good one from us, albeit not well cleared from Magenta. To Hotman de Villiers can now get us on the attack. Squares it for one Carlos Castro, and he puts himself on a hat-trick. That makes it 6-0, and this is complete one-way traffic here at my arena. Really poor clearance work, as I said, that from AS Magenta into Hotman de Villiers. Right place, right time. Squares it nicely for Castro, and that's a sitter that not even Patrick Wood could miss these days. He's in one of the B teams at Wellington Olympic, which is interesting considering I nearly signed him for AFC Auckland early stages of this save, but that's a very comprehensive win. Salcedo got a hat-trick with goals either side of half-time. 4-0 up by half-time, and second half goals to Salcedo and Castro. To be fair, they did most of the damage, and also that wonder strike from Sam Clark, and we pick up a 6-0 win. We'll come back shortly. Just make sure we don't bottle things in that second leg, and make sure it'll be Western Suburbs in the semis in tomorrow's episode. And we come back a week later and absolutely no shocks from the second leg of this game, apart from the fact that they actually scored the first goal here, Magenta, quite early on. But we did bounce back quite shortly off the back of that through Matthew to Hotman de Villiers, who actually did a really good game at left wing. He picked up 4 goals, and the other goal was scored by Michael James Gilbert, who started up front for us in this game. As you can see, pretty much a full rotation with that 6-0 lead that we did have, but even then, we pick up a 5-1 win and go through 11-1 emergency number over there in New Caledonia. A very comfy passage for us through there to the semi-finals of the Champions League. And just having a look at the other results from the quarter-finals, Western Suburbs, we will be taking on only 2-1 in the second leg, but 4-0 in the first leg, so it is going to be an all-Kiwi clash in tomorrow's episode. And Waniagu, they got past AS Stefana, and Lautoka on away goals got past Honiara City on the other side of the draw. So it does mean the semi-finals in the Champions League this season, yet again, a bit of a strong side and weak side of the draw, but an all-New Zealand clash coming up in tomorrow's episode. It's a Charity Cup replay. We take on Western Suburbs, and based on how that game went, going to penalties, this one could be quite tight, and if we win that, we'll then take on Waniagu or Lautoka in the final, which you'd imagine we should be winning. But first up, got to get past our rivals from the last couple of years here in New Zealand, in Western Suburbs. And also, before we wrap things up for today's episode, also did play the first game in the Southern League and picked up a 3-1 win over Christchurch United in quite a big early game there in that competition. But that will do it for today's episode. Made our way through the quarters of the Champions League and also picked up a couple of wins with the All Whites, but unfortunately that did nothing for our ranking, which is a bit disappointing. Still not too sure how Senegal are above us, but if you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, tomorrow we'll come back and take on Western Suburbs. No doubt we need to show you guys both those legs because it could be quite a tight one to see who the hot favourite will be for this season's Champions League final. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.